What's up, y'all? I'm back with another video, and there's a problem with the DCU that we need to address, and also Supergirl is bombing. So before we get to that, if you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. There's all this stuff. Hit the hype button if it's available. I don't really know, but let's get into it. So Supergirl came out last weekend, and basically the movie bombed. The movie bombed, and people have been trying to figure out why the movie is bombing, what's going on with the DCU, how can they pivot from here. And I think the main issue is with the DCU is Supergirl came out at the wrong time. If you're going to have a Supergirl movie that is a breath of fresh air like the book was, you need to have an established universe so the audience cares. The audience does not care about Supergirl, okay? You could have a little post-credit scene where she shows up and people be like, okay, I'm interested to see what this character is, but it's not enough to, like, we need to fast-track a movie. And the fact that James Gunn came out and said that it was a wonderful script and that's why we fast-tracked this movie over many other movies, it is kind of scary because it feels like James Gunn is all over the place. And the people that he has that is in his corner, like, working with him, aren't the best or aren't as talented as they should be to handle these characters. And it kind of feels like DCU is acting like Marvel if they don't have rights to any character. Like, let's say the Marvel sold the rights to the Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Spider-Man, and the only thing they have to start the universe on is Sentry, U.S. Agent. It's like, bro, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what are we doing here, you know? And people like to defend the Supergirl move in terms of, well, it took Marvel 21 movies to get to this point of making a female-led superhero movie. Yes, and that movie was okay, mediocre at best, but that movie would not have performed if it came on Phase 1. If you had an Iron Man movie and the next movie was Captain Marvel, like, yes, it would have made some money, but it would not have made $1 billion. The only reason that people went to go see Captain Marvel is because it was in between Infinity War and Endgame. There's no other reason why people went out in droves to see that movie. Because honestly, the movie wasn't as good as it could have been. Obviously, with such a character like Captain Marvel. And so people are sitting there trying to figure out, like, why this movie bombed and what's going on with DCU. And I remember I watched a video where people were trying to explain where the issue isn't that it's like story doesn't connect or anything like that, in terms of, like, you can have an established universe and not everything have an overarching story. I agree. But you need to build up fan and audience, like, cachet, credit, and stuff like that with the universe. Like, yes, Superman came out, and for the most part, everyone loved and enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I have a video on my channel, a review of it when I went to go see it. I thought it was an amazing Superman movie and a great return to form of what Superman should be and should be going forward, right? The problem with that is we need to have more heavy hitters. We need to care about this universe first before we go out and venture to the other sides of galaxies and different things like that. Like, this universe is all over the place, and there's, like, people care about an overarching story because they want to feel invested. They want to feel this build up to this grand event, and obviously we don't know what this grand event is because they haven't given any details. They're talking about something that's never been done before. But after what James Gunn be saying and stuff like that, I don't really trust and believe the things he say, because he'll say one thing and it'll turn to be absolutely a lie. Like when James Gunn said the Flash movie was one of the greatest superhero movies I've ever seen. That movie was garbage. When he came on and said, Supergirl had a great script and that's why we fast-tracked it over many other movies. And this movie came out, and apparently, I haven't seen the movie, so I won't comment on my thoughts on the movie because I haven't seen it. But apparently everyone's saying that the movie script sucked. The story was bad. It didn't follow the book enough. It didn't make any good choices in terms of the writing. The writing was the worst part of the movie. And so I'm sitting here looking at this stuff, and I'm sitting there saying, like, every time James Gunn opens his mouth, he puts a foot in it. Like, he tries so hard to sit there and say that we're not like Marvel. We're going to have a script done and ready before we greenlight any projects. And all the scripts that have been done and ready for the most part have been dog shit that hasn't involved him. And so I feel like this is why the MCU works so much, because you cannot have a director lead an entire universe. You can't do it, because it's like, if you have him focus on the project that he's handed to, or he has to oversee every project. And I feel like if James Gunn wasn't a director, let's say he was a producer, and he was overseeing Supergirl, and he was overseeing these different projects, he'll be like, hey, this story doesn't work, let's change this. But he can't do that because he's filming the next big movie in his universe. So it's like, you can't have all these other things. And Peter Safran, he's more of a money guy. I think he's more of a money guy based on the statements he gave after Supergirl bombed, and how he's like, we got to build up the trust in the DC audience, when 5 of the 6 movies he produced were all were trashed or didn't perform as well. And this is not coming from a Zack Snyder cultist. Fuck no. You can look at the videos on my channel and see I have issues with them as well. But it kind of feels like Warner Brothers went the same. But they didn't learn from their mistakes. Their mistake was getting a director to lead an entire universe when you need a producer or someone who is no longer working, like actively directing anymore, who loves comics to lead this for that understands the characters enough to be like, hey, the character needs to be this, and I like give you a basic template, run with it. Not I'm basically LARPing, I don't really know these characters, but I know this book is good, just make a movie based off that. That's what it kind of feels like, because the things that are being said about, hey, there was a needle drop that was done like 2 weeks before the movie came out that we kept changing 40 times because I didn't know what to do with it. It's like stuff like that wouldn't happen if you had a Kevin Feige. And the main thing that's harping the DCU is there's a blueprint already. It's not like when Fox and when Sony had movies and they came out, or Universal had movies and trying to build a universe and they all bombed because they didn't have a blueprint. And it's like, well, they're the first of their kind, right? The MCU is established, been here for 10 plus years. James Gunn has worked in it. He knows how the system works. And if he wants to either not copy it, but have his own say and own thing, he needs to follow the foundation of it and building a universe where we go from Superman to Supergirl with a foundation of Creature Commandos and Peacemaker Season 2 and some stuff from the DCEU and not some stuff from the DCEU. It's like the shaky foundation was already there. I said it from the get-go. The fact that he didn't fully reboot this universe because he wanted to keep his characters that he made movies of was the first red flag of this. Because you cannot have it where the audience is stupid. The audience is dumb. I literally just I love this podcast. I love this podcast. There's a podcast called the Because We Are podcast, and it's three black men, and they're sitting there. They talk about pop culture, they talk about different movies and stuff like that. When the Spider-Man movie came out, they were confused because, like, is this movie in the MCU? They did not know that Spider-Man Brand New Day was in the MCU. They thought it was a continuation of the Sony universe with Morbius and Madam Web. And I'm not calling them dumb. I'm just saying they are online more than the average viewer. And they didn't understand it. And they're more in terms of the average viewer, in terms of people who like are online, gaming with their friends and then get off. They're not chronically online like I am, or invested in these characters like I am to know like, oh, these are different universes. They're just watching it as it come out and just taking it as it is. These people are trying to follow your universe, and you cannot have it where, well, that universe that we're trying to disregard because there's another Superman, there's gonna be a different Batman, there's gonna be a different Green Lantern, stuff like that. Well, piece of those universes are gonna be in here, and then people are gonna be like, wait a minute, I thought this is gonna be in this is in the same universe as that. Like, there's another podcast I listen to called the Frames Per Second podcast, a great podcast also. They reviewed the Supergirl movie. And one of the main hosts of the podcast was like, "Oh, I thought this universe took place in the DCEU because I thought they just recast the Superman and just did a whole another movie." You know what I mean? And they had to explain to him like, "No, this is in a completely different universe. These characters aren't connected." Because they thought, "Why is Jason Momoa playing Lobo and Aquaman?" You know you get what I'm saying? It's like stuff like that where it's like you haven't distanced yourself enough from the previous universe to have all these things that are happening because it's going to confuse audiences. I know he came on and said that, two Batman, the audience is smart enough to understand that there's two different Batmans, stuff like that, and they won't get confused. And from rumors, they're kind of saying like, hey, he's going to hold off his Batman until Matt Reeves is done with his trilogy, which I think is a bad idea, because if you're waiting, let's say it takes another 3 to 4 years for Matt Reeves to get out his third movie, if you're waiting like 10 years to get your version of Batman, like, is this universe even going to still be around? Because I'm not going to sit there and wish the downfall of the DCU. I just hate the stuff that James Gunn is doing. And it kind of feels like he is too busy, like he can't get out of his own way of establishing minor characters that are unique. It's like he's still trying to catch that Guardians of the Galaxy feeling, and it's not working anymore. Outside of Superman, which I thought was a good film, a great film, and it kind of came back down to good after I started looking at the problems. It's like, we can't have where you're too afraid to do your main trilogy because you are unsure of either confusion, you don't get them mixed up, or it's like you're more comfortable in the warehouse of doing niche, obscure characters. It's like someone has to, like, these main leads have to come out because that's the only way the audience is going to care. They're going to care when there's a Wonder Woman movie. They're going to care when there's a Superman movie. They're going to care when there's a Batman movie. They're not going to care if there's a penguin film. They're not going to care if that's not connected to Matt Reeves, obviously. They're not going to care if there's a Scarecrow movie coming out, right? Clayface might be a good movie because the people that are behind it. But at the same time, what you're trying to do is establish this universe so that there is a massive audience that comes to see this movies. So when you have another movie, let's say you want to have a Lancers movie that comes out, right? You want to have the fan base be like, okay, I'll have to come see this. You know, it makes sense. Not fast track a Bane and Deathstroke movie because, like, honestly, who is asking for that? No one is asking for these movies, and I think that's the main problem with Supergirl and the DCU is a lot of projects just get greenlit that a lot of people are asking for, like, hey, who asked for this? Who is this for? Because maybe it is for an audience, a very small audience. You're not making money back. And I know the purpose of a movie isn't about just making money. It's about the art. It's about, you know, portraying a message, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the way for this studio to keep going, it needs to make money. Jim Gunn said himself, if Superman last year would have bombed like this movie bombed, there wouldn't have been a DCU. They're not going to just keep making movies because they're not making money. So your main goal is to make money first. Your main goal is to make good movies first to make more money so you can do the weird movies and then they can make money. That's how it works. That's just simply how it works. You have to build a foundation for it to work, okay? And so there's a guy that came out and said that, hey, you know, back to what I was saying earlier, how like it took 21 films from Marvel to get to the first female-led movie, and the fact that the DCU is doing it in their second movie is so brave of them. Why didn't they just do a Wonder Woman movie? They should have just done Wonder Woman. They desperately needed to do Wonder Woman. They need to establish the Trinity. I've been saying it, obviously the cachet and stuff like that. I said that in a previous video. But the fact that there's no project for Wonder Woman, the fact that there's no animated show from Wonder Woman, there is nothing for Wonder Woman at all makes no sense to me. And unless Wonder Woman shows up in Man of Tomorrow, which apparently the whole Justice League is going to show up in Man of Tomorrow, it's like, what are we doing here? You have one of the most iconic characters of all time. Like, in terms of the Mount Rushmore of superheroes, period, it's Superman, it's Batman, it's Spider-Man, it's Wonder Woman. That's what it is. That's the four, okay? Don't look the four like it's fantastic, bruh. Like, the fact that there's no Wonder Woman anything scares me. And also, the fact of James Gunn is putting these people who are either, I'm not going to say inadequate because they made it to Hollywood, not as good as other people in Hollywood in terms of making movies, making some of these projects that he needs to do well makes no sense to me. The fact that you got the guy who made The Flash and is doing the Batman movie still doesn't make any sense to me, right? And the fact that you have the person who just wrote Supergirl, which I haven't seen, I heard the story is weak and it's pretty bad and the writing is horrible. You have this person working on a Wonder Man movie. I'm keeping that in. Don't go with that. A Wonder Woman movie. I hope I didn't say Wonder Man this entire time while I was talking about Wonder Woman. But anyway, we don't need her writing Wonder Woman. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's have competent filmmakers writing Wonder Woman. Let's have the person who helped write the best run of Wonder Woman write these characters and get Tom King the fuck out the kitchen, bro. Stop it. Just get him out the kitchen. And so far the DCU, it's been more bad than it's been good. I'm be honest with you. Let's have a conversation here. Let's really have a dialogue so far, okay? Outside of Supergirl, which I haven't seen, which pretty much everyone who's seen it has given it either mid to bad reception. Let's go back to the first. So far, we're 4 projects into the DCU. And so far, we had Creature Commandos, which I was talking about, which is mid to bad to me. Because it's just useless. It's no point in it. And it falls flat on its face at the end. That's a no. Then you have Peacemaker Season 2, which is supposed to connect, you know, things from the DCU to DC, EU and all that stuff like that, and all that bullshit, and this whole plot point of this second world that leads to nothing. It is so pointless and useless. There is a villain turn of a character that makes no sense in the grand scheme. Like, the whole story doesn't work, okay? And it's so poorly done. That is an L for me. Then you have Superman, which everyone pretty much unanimously says is a good to great movie. Okay, it varies between who you're talking to. I had it at great, and then it came out to good. I do some more thinking and read some more Superman. But for the bare minimum, it is a great return to form. This is great, positive. Now it's Supergirl, which is another pretty much a dud in terms of critically and financially. So we're now 3-1 right now in terms of bad. You're down 3-1 in this series right now. it's pretty bad. Next project's coming up. You got Lanterns. Lanterns comes out, I think, August next month, or August or September, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Lanterns comes out next. That has been the most mixed show that people have been talking about. Like the other project beforehand, regardless of what you said, everyone was hyped for these projects. No one was going into any of these movies and sitting there saying, hey, this movie looks bad, or I don't think this movie's gonna do good. People had issues with the way Supergirl looked, but there's like, okay, they followed the book, which is apparently very great. I haven't read the book either. I can understand people are saying that, okay, I'm excited for this, right? This has everyone divided. Everyone's like, bro, I don't like the way this looks. I don't like the story they're doing it. I don't like the way they're doing Hal Jordan. I don't like the costume. I don't like this. This is one of the most divisive shows, and let this show be bad. If this show is bad after the colorism allegations, the piss poor use apparently of Hal Jordan, and the fact that he's 50 plus and he's gonna be basically exited out of the show in the universe, like the whole aesthetic of the show, the things that the writers were saying and had to apologize for, like this whole thing is a shit show. If this show is bad, oh my god, bro, we might have to have some serious conversations on whether we need to just, hey, we need to take a break from DC universes for a while now. Is that bad, right? Clayface comes out in October. Like, based on what is being said, like, and people work on it, I have a feeling it's gonna be good. I don't know, it's gonna be like the Joker, Obsession, Sinners type of thing, where this horror movie is going to take the universe, the world by storm. Everyone's going to flock. There's going to be a $1 billion success. I don't know. I can't predict that. You know what I mean? No one thought that Obsession was going to be as good or as big as it was, etc., etc., etc. So it might be good. It might be great. I don't know. And then after that, you have Man of Tomorrow. Man of Tomorrow, I think it's going to be a very good, solid film. You know what I mean? It's going to be okay. Not okay, but you know what I mean? It's going to be a positive. Then after that, we got to talk about these movies. You know what I mean? It's like, what do we have after that? What's coming down the chamber after that, right? Because there apparently a Superman movie in the works. Apparently Bane and Deathstroke is being fast-tracked for a movie. I don't really know how that's going to work, and I'm a little bit nervous about while we're fast-tracking films about characters that we don't, like, we're not trying to see that. We're trying to see Batman go up against these characters, not them appear in their own solo film. It's kind of like once again, Warner Brothers did not learn their lesson. We have these random ass movies that don't connect to nothing. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why do we have a Joker film? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, like, I don't know. So it's that type of thing. The other person who's working on Supergirl, making Wonder Woman and Teen Titans, I'm concerned about that. There's a Robin's movie, show, hybrid, animated, claymation, live action thing. I don't know what that is either. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully DCU can fix itself. Hopefully after the Supergirl, because they know it bombed, they know it is down the drain, that they're able to fix things and able to rebound, and so we can have competition. Because I don't think this year that Marvel is having right now, let Doomsday be as good as people are saying as Infinity War. Apparently, that's what the rumors are. Yo, it might be another 10 years where the DCU is gonna be the underdogs and they're gonna be looking bad, bruh. And this all could be avoided if you actually would have just got someone that is a producer and not a director, or if you have a director running it, he's not directing every major movie. I think that should be the thing there. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think, or have just a comic book writer that knows about these universes and have them be a advisor. Don't have Tom King do it. Like what the DCU, they had like Jeff Johns, right? Like he was, and apparently there's things about him behind the scenes, but there are a bunch of other writers. Like if there was if Grant Morrison or what's his name, Bendis or whatever his name is, I'm not, both of those, if you could have hired them on a retainer and be like, yo, I'm trying to make this universe, you're familiar with the majority of these characters, you wrote for majority of these characters, please give me an outline of how this should go. And he'd be like, boom, 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 you send them to different strips and be like, hey, how does this work? Boom, 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 and you go from there. It's not rocket science, because you have a blueprint. That's all you need to do. Because if the DCU fails right now, we might have to make a 10-year gap between another universe startup. Because when Matt Reeves ends his thing in 5 years, his trilogy, he's not going to do extended universe. Robert Pattinson's not going to do an extended universe. You know what I mean? And then every other thing is going to be, it's going to be like they're going to be dragging a dead horse because they don't want to reboot it again, which they should have just fully rebooted it from the beginning. But now I'm rambling. Those are my thoughts down below. Let me know what y'all think, and look at have a conversation down below. And I'm out. Peace.